Greenwich, on the southeast edge of London, is one of those magical places. You know, smacks you round the chops with surprises at every turn. Everywhere in the once beating heart of Britain's maritime empire is an echo of big history. But few know about one of Greenwich's greatest secrets. Shh, don't tell anyone. Let's take a look. Wandering around Greenwich, there are tons of did you knows. Did you know that a few years back, archaeologists dug up a 17-metre long whale on the foreshore, one of the biggest finds ever discovered in Britain? Sometime in the mid-18th or early 19th century, Moby Dick swam all the way from Greenland, got lost up the River Thames, and was then sadly butchered. Unluckily for the graceful beast, the Greenwich area used to be the base for whaling fleets that combed the far north of the Atlantic in search of prey. The whale was butchered for its 11,000 litres of valuable oil and 12 tonnes of whalebone, worth $500,000 today. Whale oil was essential for lighting houses and streets, while whalebone was used to make umbrellas, ladies' corsets, horse saddles, and springs for horse-drawn carriages. But the biggest showstopper in Greenwich's history was the Royal Palace. Everyone's heard of Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and Hampton Court, but the Palace of Placentia, the Pleasant Palace, was where the real fun happened. For 2 centuries, from 1485 to 1685, a who's who of royals called Placentia home. The palace lay on London's finest real estate, its 390 feet courts facing the majestic river, backed by the hunting forests of Blackheath. The frolics really took off when King Henry VIII, yes, he had the gargantuan appetite for feasting and women, was born in the 2-storey brick and timber palace on June 28, 1491. Let the games begin! The Pleasure Palace became a royal playground for every indulgence and vice. Jousting competitions were held there, well, fixed competitions. It was a virtual law that Henry be allowed to win, or else send him to the Tower! Henry loved to hunt and hawk in his 200-acre park, and his feasts were bonkers. The King's Christmas party of 1516 saw the first masquerade party thrown in England. When a French delegation arrived in 1527, they were received with much pomp and entertained after a more sumptuous manner than has ever been seen before. The palace grounds saw plenty of other action. Aboard Henry had his wife Anne Boleyn arrested there after a tournament, and married Anne of Cleves in its grounds in 1540. Then later, Queen Elizabeth I, yup, she with the rotten teeth and wooden peg dentures, was born there too. By the 1690s, the games were over. Queen Mary II ordered the palace be torn down and replaced by a royal hospital for pensioned Royal Navy sailors. The hospital included living quarters, a chapel, and a dining room. In the early 1870s, the hospital became the Royal Naval College, used as an officer training centre into the 1990s. Finally, Greenwich University moved onto the site in the early 2000s and is still there. After all those changes, astonishingly, not one of the 600,000 bricks Henry VII bought in 1499 to build his pleasant palace still stands today. Look hard enough though, and a stunning memory of the good times lives on. The ships that came and went through Greenwich, and still do, are legendary. But if you go down to the mud today, you're in for a big surprise. Right in front of the original site of the palace, at low tide, the past comes out to wave. 6 rows of parallel timbers, 30 in total, built 5.5 metres apart, served Greenwich's shipping centuries ago. For this was King Henry VIII's landing stage. And scattered all around the pontoon are an assortment of Tudor Last Suppers, and massive green glazed pots, ceramic beer bottles from the Rhine in Germany, and the bones of boar, lamb, kitchens, cows, and oyster shells thrown out the back of King Henry's palace kitchen from 450-year-old royal feasts.
It's no delicacy nowadays. No consideration for others.
You can almost hear Henry roaring for more peasants, and throwing the chewed bones over his shoulder, out the window into the river mud, splosh. All along the Thames, the tide is relentlessly washing away ooze to uncover thousands of fascinating small finds. through millions of artefacts chucked away since the dawn of time, the River Thames has become the biggest archaeological site in the world. At Greenwich though, the scouring of the riverbanks by modern ferry boat engines is a blessing and a curse. As fast as new discoveries are exposed, others have vanished and are destroyed forever. For now, Old Henry's wooden wharf is alive and kicking. Every trace of his pleasant palace may have been lost to the ravages of time, but the wooden landing stage that launched the legend lives on. Thanks for joining us, and for more Did You Knows and journeys to places few get, please hit the like button, subscribe, and do what you gotta do to keep the films rolling. And until next time, from the gooey mud of the River Thames in London, deep down, we care.